Look at these glasses. In most countries, they're just a tool, a way to see. But in Cambodia, between 1975 and 1979, they were a death warrant. If you wore glasses, you could read. If you could read, you were an intellectual. And to the Khmer Rouge, an intellectual was a parasite, something to be crushed. Welcome to Year Zero, a world where an entire city was emptied in a single day. A world where crying was a crime. April 17th, 1975, Phnom Penh. The silence wasn't peace, it was a threat. Imagine a city of 2 million people, suddenly frozen. No car horns, no markets, no laughter. Only one sound remained, the clicking of sandals on the asphalt. The Khmer Rouge were here. Teenagers in black pajamas, hollow eyes, Chinese rifles. They didn't come to save the city. They came to kill it. "Leave," they screamed through the speakers. "The Americans are coming. Leave for 3 days. Take nothing." It was the biggest lie of the century. Doctors left their surgeries. Patients were pushed out on hospital beds. Children let go of their parents' hands. In 3 hours, the city was a ghost. Cambodia was no longer a country. It was an experiment. In that crowd, one man lowers his head. Dr. Haing Ngor. He's an obstetrician, one of the best. But today, his brain is a liability. He sees a soldier, a boy, barely 14. The boy stops a man. He points at his glasses. "Intellectual," he spits. A rifle butt to the skull. The man drops. Dr. Ngor doesn't wait. He takes off his own glasses. He drops them in the mud. He crushes them with his heel. In that moment, the doctor dies. He becomes old people, a blank slate for the revolution to burn. How did this happen? To understand the horror, you have to leave the jungle. Go back to the 1950s, to the cafes of Paris. That's where it started. Between the Sorbonne and the bookstores of the Latin Quarter. A man named Salath Sar was studying electronics. The world would know him as Pol Pot. He and his clique were obsessed with radical ideas. They dreamed of a perfect utopia. No classes, no money, no religion. But for Pol Pot, the city was a cancer, an infection. The only cure? Fire and blood. Think about the irony. These men studied philosophy in France, only to order the execution of anyone who could read a book. They called themselves the Angkar, the organization, a nameless, faceless god. The Angkar has the eyes of a pineapple, they told the peasants. It sees everything. It forgets nothing. While the world looked away, Cambodia became a slaughterhouse, a massive open-air prison. The city people were forced into the fields. They were given a pickaxe and a death sentence. 3 tons of rice per hectare, the Angkar demanded. It was impossible, but logic was now a crime. The engineers were dead, the experts were shot. Dams were built by hand. They collapsed. Then came the famine, a dark, medieval hunger. People ate rats, they ate insects, they ate roots. Eventually, they ate the dead. Dr. Ngor lived through this hell. He watched his wife's agony. She was dying in childbirth, right in front of him. He was a surgeon. He had the skill. He had the hands. He knew exactly how to save her. But he stayed still. He didn't move. There were spies everywhere. If he touched her, he was a doctor. If he was a doctor, they were both dead. He held her hand. He watched her life slip away in silence. In Pol Pot's Cambodia, love was a weakness, and knowledge was a bullet to the brain. Starvation was only the beginning. Then came the killing fields. Pol Pot didn't want to waste bullets. Ammunition was expensive, so they got creative. They used the jagged edges of sugar palm leaves to slit throats. They used axes. They used hoes. They smashed the skulls of babies against trees, right in front of their mothers. To pull up the grass, you must pull up the roots. That was the slogan. That was the law. Before we dive into the final mystery of this mountain, I'd like to take a quick moment to ask for your support. I'm currently building this community so we can explore these deep human stories and dark mysteries together. By subscribing, you're not just supporting the channel, you're becoming part of this journey. Let's build this together. In the heart of the capital, there was a school, Tuol Sleng. It was renamed S21. Classrooms became torture chambers. The bureaucracy was perfect. Every prisoner was photographed, thousands of faces, staring at us from the past, knowing they wouldn't see the sun again. They were tortured for confessions. Peasants were forced to admit they were CIA spies. Once they signed, they were loaded onto trucks, sent to the pits of Choang Ek. There they blasted revolutionary music, loud, piercing, to drown out the screams of people being murdered with pickaxes. Why did the world stay silent? Geography and cold-blooded politics. This was the Cold War. Pol Pot was China's ally. Vietnam was the Soviet Union's ally. Because the West hated the Soviets, they looked the other way. For years, the UN recognized the Khmer Rouge as the rightful government. Even after the genocide was known, 2 million people died. Politics walked right over their graves. The end came in 1979. Vietnamese tanks rolled into Phnom Penh. The Khmer Rouge fled. Pol Pot vanished into the jungle. He lived there for 20 years. Like a quiet grandfather, he was never tried. He never apologized. In 1998, he died in his bed. "My conscience is clear," he said. He went to sleep and never woke up. Today, the Cambodian soil is still restless. After every rain, the ground spits out fragments. A piece of a bone. A scrap of a child's shirt. It's not just dirt. It's a cemetery without end. Year Zero wasn't an accident. It was what happens when an idea becomes more important than a life. It's what happens when you try to erase the past. Do not look away. Remember the glasses in the mud. Remember the silence of Dr. Ngor. It is the only shield we have to make sure Year Zero never happens again.